Welcome back, everyone. So we have gone through the lecture on level 1 fundamentals, how exactly you have to prep yourself on your fundamentals, and how exactly yourself, when you curate your solution path and know more about the inclination that you have to learn and explore in the solution path, you select your fundamentals and you get yourself familiar with the ecosystem of what that solution area has to offer. Now, after doing that, the next one is your level 2 and your level 3. So the level 2 and level 3 in the journey of Microsoft learning and certifications is called as role-based learning path and certification. So what do we have in level 2 and what we have in level 3? So the first point is, if you remember the poster that we have seen, the fundamentals basically talks more about the particular solution area and the solution area's initial launch pad. It's if it is infrastructure, you get yourself familiar with the AZ900, the Azure fundamentals, to go deeper into the role-based learning path for your infrastructure domain. Similarly, if you go for data AI, they will have their own list after you are done with your fundamentals. If it is data, more to do with your Azure data fundamentals, DP900. And if it is with AI, more to do with your AI 900, Azure AI fundamentals. Similarly, for all the solution areas, you will have the respective fundamental zone. And after you're done with it, now you go to your level 2 and level 3, which is the role specific, the role niche, the associate based certification and the expert based certification. So before going there, just a quick overview of what this role-based certification is all about. So number one, as you know, they go beyond fundamentals, and these typically are the learning paths curated and meant for professionals who want to validate their job specific technical skills in the areas of all the solutions, Azure, Microsoft 365, security, AI, and more. So what is the role-based certification? These are real-world roles, the administration, the development, the security posture. These engineers who are working in day out, what do they do? How do they do it? What exactly are their real-world use cases that they are solving by leveraging these services and solutions? This is intermediate, I'll say the level 2, and advanced, the level 3 skill. So anybody who is done with their fundamentals and now they're rock solid on the core concepts and got a broader view of what that solution area is all about, now if they plan to go deeper, basis their career skill growth and the interest that they have in that particular field, will select a respective role that they want to build up their knowledge on, their proficiency on. These are the rules. Now, after you are done with your fundamentals, you enter the first point is associate. You cannot become an expert until you're associate. And as we have spoken in the previous videos, in the previous sessions, what we saw is the associate one is level 2, which is more about somebody who is around 2 to 5 years, 2 to 7 years of experience in solving these problems day in, day out. So if you're not hands-on, if you're not practically doing these things, the associate certification is going to take some time for you to be ready for it. So what does the associate certification has? This is the next level of your fundamental. Now, if I see predominantly as per the poster that you have seen, basis the solution area you are a part of and you are interested to know more about, there are 6 individual streams of level 2. The first one that you see is more about, I'll say, the common role-based certifications is Microsoft Azure, the cloud, the infrastructure part. So once you're done with your AZ900, now the next one that typically anybody who wants to go deeper into it aims for is AZ104, the Azure Administrator Associate. What kind of roles it has, that is more to do with the management of the resources that you have on Azure, your storage, your database, your APIs, your computes, your virtual machines, your network, identities, such things. So somebody who is operationally working as an administrator or who wants to administer the Azure resources for an enterprise grade application product that is hosted on the cloud. This is the particular learning path for you. AZ104 is the exam code and the certification name is Administrator Associate. You have to be comfortable in and around Azure and the ecosystem the cloud portal provides you, the cloud services provide you. Now, if you're not just an administrator, you are more into development. So you develop in cloud, you leverage these services and you deploy your applications, you build your applications for the cloud. Then this respective stream is AZ204, which is called as Azure Developer Associate. So this is more suited for developers, the .NET developers, the Java developers who are basically working in and out in the development ecosystem, but they leverage the Azure solution to build and deploy. They do not administrate, I'll say primarily, but they leverage Azure to build for it. AZ204 is your level 2. The third one and the fourth one that you see is more about level 3. So if you are, whether you're an administrator or a developer, so you have proven your L2 and your know-how of L2 using AZ104 for administrator and AZ204 for developer. Now you want to become an expert of it. So somebody who holds an experience of delivery in this system for maybe 5+, 7+ years. That's the typical benchmark. It could be very less depending on the exposure that you go, and it could be very more again basis the exposure that you have. So somebody who's now comfortable in and around these services, have been using it, but now wants to build more about integrating across components, across services, or maybe across clouds. So you maybe are working in a multi-cloud environment, so not just Azure. Maybe you are using multiple other cloud providers like AWS or OCI or GCP. So people who go beyond the conventional services and just using those conventional Microsoft services that the portal has, and has much more architectural role, much more, I'll say, expert level solutioning role, they aim for these expert L3 certifications. The one typically who is called as the Azure architect, the solutions architect in Azure, goes for AZ305. That's as per 2025 the certification path. The certification code is AZ305, and they are called as Azure Solution Architect Expert. They design the cloud solution. They build a hybrid cloud or a multi-cloud integration of the particular application portfolio they are working in. Now, somebody who is more into the operational workflow, building a CI/CD pipeline, building a, I'll say, SRE framework within the cloud, building a delivery model in the cloud using CI/CD or IAC modules, infrastructure as a code modules. For them, typically the expert zone lies not in only just solutions architecting, but it is more about engineering the delivery and management of things that is delivered in the cloud. They typically aim for the expert level certification, which is called as AZ400, the DevOps engineer expert. These are the people who work majorly towards the deployment, the operational delivery of the solutions in the cloud, and making the solutions seamlessly running in the cloud. They aim for this. So this is one learning path that you will see. There are other learning paths as well. So somebody who is more into the data and AI, again, the associate certifications that you have in this stream are DP203, somebody who is managing and building the data pipelines using or leveraging services like Azure Data Factory or the ETL tools. So somebody who is using and delivering solutions day in, day out with these services, they aspire to go for the L2 of data engineering models, which is called as Azure Data Engineer Associate. The DP203 is the exam code. Somebody who is more into the AI stream, as we have spoken, goes into the AI 102, designing and implementing AI workflows for the cloud. Azure AI Engineering Associate. Power BI Data Analyst. Somebody who's more into data visualization or the Power Platform, the PL900, somebody who has pursued that fundamental. We'll look forward to the PL300. Now, in the data and AI path that you see, most of this journey is very contextually niche. So somebody who is working on that particular data stream or the AI stream or the Power Platform low-code stream, they will look forward to this L2 models or the associate learning paths and certifications. Now, moving on from this, we go to the other learning paths. I'll just give a disclaimer, these all are guiding representational learning paths. This is not a benchmark or a standard that you need to follow. You can also self-curate your own L2, L3, depending on the kind of mix your profile has or your aspirational profile has. You can very well have a AZ900 and then go for a PL200, or a PL300. So it completely depends on how your skill is curated in terms of fundamentals, associate, and expert. But this is typically the bucket that we see, which goes in the combination of how your career grows vertically. In the security and compliance identity zone, you'll see after your SC900, people majorly going for SC200, which is more about security operations analyst associate. Somebody who is doing the monitoring and response analysis of how exactly threats are originating or coming to the ecosystem of the cloud. Somebody who is more into just identity and I'll say access administrations, authorizations, or maybe access control and moderation. automation using things like Azure AD or maybe a lot of Active Directory components, they look forward to this learning path. SC300. Somebody who is more into the compliance and protection of data, they will look forward to a journey of information protection administrator, SC400. So these are very niche and specifically focused, I'll say, L2 learning paths. Moving on from there, there is a learning path, as you see, the Microsoft 365 and modern workspace learning path, the Microsoft 365 Administrator Associate, MS102, beyond your MS365 or MS900 that we see as the fundamental. Somebody who needs to manage these Microsoft 365 services will aspire for MS102. That's the learning path. Someone who wants to deploy and manage the collaboration tool of Microsoft, the most famous one, Microsoft Teams, they'll go for the Teams Administrator Associate, MS700. Somebody who is majorly looking forward to the endpoint devices will look forward to Endpoint Administrator Associate, MD102. And then at the end, the most famous low-code solution that Microsoft has got, Power Platform Functional Consultant, somebody who is building solutions within the Power Platform ecosystem, building apps, building workflows using Power Automate, Power BI, dashboards. They will prefer going for the learning path of PL200. Somebody who is developing custom solutions in the Power Apps, the Power Platform, building the Power Automate workflow, building and customizing as per the requirement of their own business goal, will go for PL400, Power Platform developers. So the major block that you have seen is a representational block combination of how the L2s and L3s are formed. How you basically leverage it and map it back to your career depends on what kind of selection you have in terms of your L2 and L3 skill. So quickly, as we go back in the Microsoft portal, in the Microsoft poster for the solution scopes, you see all these particular columns are your solution areas where the fundamentals lie to give you the broader view of that particular solution area. And the ones typically in the role-based maps back to where exactly you are niched. You can be good at a lot of these combinations that you have, or you can be a very focused role engineer for the role that you're performing. You have to basically select from the stream as per this poster and identify which matches your aspiration. Now, the major, I'll say, observation across the industry is somebody who comes from an infrastructure background. They will ideally select anything from this batch for their L2 and L3. It's a very rare mix that I've seen somebody doing AZ900 and then selecting PL300. It can. There's nothing wrong in it, but that typically is not an ideal map of how from fundamentals you jump to the role-based. If you want PL300, the recommendation maybe will be go for the fundamentals associated with data and AI, which is AI 900, AP 900, or to an extent your PL 900, and then you go inside it. So it depends on what fundamental scope areas, solution areas you have done, and how deeper in that particular solution area you want to go with the tags. One suggestion that I will have for you is the certification continuously keeps on updating, and Microsoft regularly updates this particular poster, which is there as a part of the resource of this lecture that you have. Refer to this particular poster at the point in time when you are crafting your own learning path. Basis this poster, the flow of your learning from fundamentals to a specific role, the L2 and eventually L3, will become more organic. You will become more intuitive in how you are pivoting from your L1 to L2 and L2 to L3, and the entire learning will be more effortless, because you are going block by block, step by step. Again, at the end, the Microsoft Learn portal is the one-stop shop that even I use on a day-to-day basis to upskill myself and know more and more offerings that I want to upskill myself on. Basis the kind of product you have to do your filter here. So if I select the first filter that basically I'll be doing here for L2 and L3 will be L2 intermediate, L3 advanced. So if I select intermediate, this gives me almost all the types of intermediate learning path and certifications available. And then I select, let's say, Azure. It gives me what exactly are the available options of L2. The tags, that's a quick identifier, are the stars. So if it is 1 star, it's typically fundamentals. If it is 2 star, it is typically associate or your L2. And if it is 3 star, it is considered to be the expert, the master of that particular stream of solution area. And the fourth one, which I do not label as any specific levels like level 4 or something, this is called a specialty. Now, you will not see a star there. We will talk more about it in the lecture ahead to come specific to the specialty block. But this depends depends on the kind of depth and coverage this particular field has got. Hence, the star is cataloged that way. So if you talk about, let's say, Azure Administrator Associate, L2 for Azure, once you go inside it, you will obviously have everything as we have seen before in the fundamentals, the details of that particular learning path, how exactly, which level, which product group, which role category it belongs to, how frequently it gets updated. You've seen it was just updated a month before. And then the important part to keep a note of is the certification is not for forever, so like fundamentals, once you do it, it never expires. You are considered to be aware of that particular solution area basics forever. So it's a one-time certifications, they don't expire. But if you go for your L2s and L3s, since the product evolve every year or maybe multiple times in a year, the offerings are increased or enhanced every year. Microsoft expects you to also renew your knowledge and learning every year. So for all the L2s and L3s that you have in terms of certification, your renewal will be due every year. So the day you get certified and you stamp that you got knowledge of that particular offering as L2 associate or L3 expert, you have to bookmark that date for next year and get yourself renewed again after the renewal is expired. There are some certifications where the renewal is not immediately due for 1 year. Sometimes they let you have the certification valid for 2 years or sometimes 3 years as well. It depends on the kind of certification that it has and the period of how much changes it goes through. But majorly in my observation, it will be nothing more than 2 to 3 years. Within a period of 2 years or 3 years, it will ask you for expiry. So do keep a check of how the renewal is needed for the certification that when you achieve. Now, going back to this particular block again, you will see the overview of what all you are going to have in this certification journey of learning path. You will see what kind of skills you will gain in this certification roadmap. And then again, there is a self-learning path here where you will have learning capsules, you will have learning detailed modules. It's a more broader pragmatic course, I'll say. It's something that goes much deeper into the topic. You will also get the same format of practice exams for this. You'll get a sandbox. Do leverage the sandbox multiple times when you are appearing for a L2 or L3 learning path. And the reason of this is, unless you are very extensively using it on your day-to-day work, the sandbox will give you a lot of conceptual clarity on what you are going to see during your certification. The certification will not be just objective, be it your L2 or be it your L3. Do keep a check on the outline. Most of these L2 and L3 certifications do have practical labs as well. So you need to go through the practice assessment and go through the labs of configuring, provisioning, customizing few services during the certifications. So do not avoid the lab. It is a must-have and must-to-do, I'll say, feature. And Microsoft Learn gives you that flexibility to use it multiple times. Then once you are a bit comfortable around this particular model of L2 and L3, you go deeper into your exam format. This is where it tells you how long the exam is going to be, what are the policies, and what are you going to be assessed against in this 100 minutes for this particular certification. Once you are comfortable around the certification outline and what exactly you are going to be certified about, go ahead and do the certification booking. And then mostly you'll be clear on when the certification is going to be available for you after you clear the certification, and how is the renewal policy going to be. So in summary, when you are done selecting the role L2 or L3 for you, it's a sequential flow, by the way. You cannot jump to L2 you cannot jump to L3 if you're not L2. So a lot of L1s could be avoided. So fundamentals maybe to an extent is not mandatory, but for L3, the expert level certifications, the L2s respected to it is important. So make sure that you see your role map, you see your role journey, how you want to become L3, and for that L3, what is the prerequisite exam for you and the L2s, and basis that you select your L2, go for the self-learning module, practice the paper. Once you're done, see the format of the examination, and then book your actual examination. With that, I'll go back to this page and we will quickly recap of what this is all about. Level 2 is the associate certification. Level 3 is the expert certification. The representation of learning path that I've given you is just a view of generic learning path that most of us use. You can obviously curate your own learning path of your own L2, L3. That does not confine that you have to follow a specific recommended path here, but these are the usual organic patterns of how the L1s evolve to L2 and eventually to L3. The best reference is your Microsoft certification poster. Do review it, to craft your own journey of L2 and L3. Lastly, whenever you aspire for L3, do see what is the prerequisite for that L3 and which all exams are prerequisite for you as L2 to be eligible to book your L3. So when you do an L3 booking, if you want to achieve the expert badge, you have to be certified on few specific L2 for that particular L3 badge. So if I have to select, for an example, DevOps engineer, that's the expert badge. If you see on this flow, you need to have Azure developer as one of the L2 batches, or maybe Azure administrator as one of the L2 batches, in order to be eligible to book and get yourself DevOps engineer certified and the badge as DevOps expert. So your L3s will have prerequisites of L2, and in that particular learning path, some specific prerequisites only to achieve that expert badge for you. And you have to get hands-on experience. That's the most important thing for you to be prepared enough to book an L2 examination and complete successfully the learning path and get yourself certified. Same goes for L3. So these certifications are not just good to have. These certifications, the L2s and L3s, are a testament that you have delivered solutions successfully in the field of what you are L2 and L3 certified. And these certifications give anybody a clear indication that you can build and operationalize that particular solution in the ecosystem of Microsoft, be it Azure, be it Dynamics, or be it the Power Platform. With that, we will wrap up this particular topic and see you in the next topic.